I'm so happy to have you here, Grace. Thank you so much for
Of
coming on.
course.
We were just catching up a little bit before because I knew you were going to be on time. Like, I knew you were going to be early, even because even this past week, just like doing some research and like looking into your personality online, I'm like, this girl is on top of her life. The whole foundation of Bright is that you can give time no matter how busy you are. So
Yeah.
I'm like, she's going to be on time. And I was very unprepared.
Very good.
So excited to just like talk with you about your life and how you like balance the origin story of the Bright Foundation and share that with our viewers and people in New York to get them more involved in the community and myself as well. I have on my list in November volunteer with Bright Foundation. But I was just really drawn to people like you that have a mission to help others. Like it's rare that you see people that have this type of like energy and feel purpose further than that, even like actually taking action to create something
Totally.
outside of your
Yeah.
normal life. And we were just talking like she works a complete 9 to 5,
Yes.
like most of the time 5 days in office. So the fact that you are still able to dedicate time outside of your day to things that help people, like it's rare. Like you're a rare breed.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I said to like my one sister, I was like, when you take time to like do what matters, like you kind of realize you have more of it.
Yeah.
Like I think everyone's really quick just to be like, we're so busy, we're running around. And I think especially in New York, there is kind of the mentality of everyone's kind of too busy for to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then once you kind of like take a step back, you're like, oh, like I'm choosing to, be this busy, or I'm choosing to do X, Y, and Z that's taking up more time than maybe
Yes.
it should. Um, but yeah, it's just about like, it's just being organized. And like, I mean, being a producer, like I kind of have the mindset of like this is the situation, need to do, like this is the problem, and how do I get to the solution? And so like, okay, like how do I like run an event after being at the office all day? It's like, okay, well, you have to like get ready over the weekend, you have to do like all these things and really be prepared and schedule some emails. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's been like it's a lot, but it's manageable if you're, as you
You.
go.
Yeah, no, totally. Just for context, can you give a little background on like where you were born
Yes.
and raised, how long you've been in New
Yeah.
York, and then about the Bright Foundation?
Sure. So I was born and raised in New Jersey. I went to college here in New York. I went to the new school. So I grew up volunteering. I went to like all girls Catholic high school in, 13 years. And, when you're younger, volunteering kind of like fits into your schedule, and you kind of have the opportunities built in through school and through a lot of, my family too. And then college too, you know, you have so much free time during the day.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of college, like my specific school didn't have it, but most schools have like fairs where you can volunteer within a club or an organization.
Mm.
And then you kind of become an adult and you're just like, I'm just like working this corporate job and, slaving away
Yep.
and like not doing anything for anyone else except for myself.
Yeah.
And so a lot of my friends and I were just talking about that. And then every now and then we'd be encouraged to volunteer, and we would reach out to a place. And, a lot of places require like background checks and all these things like to work with kids, which is so important. But
Mhm.
then you kind of go along the process and you don't hear from them, or you try to like sign up for something before work and all the spots are filled because that's when everyone wants to volunteer. And so the real story of how it started was I was playing the lottery when it was $1 billion, and I was with my parents in Cape Cod, and I just was like, I'm gonna win this thing. Like it's gonna be amazing. And so like playing that game where you're like, what is your life gonna be like tomorrow when you win a lottery? And I said I would have a nonprofit, and when I kind of described what Bright Light kind of like turned into,
Mhm.
my dad was like, you don't have to like be a billionaire to do that. You
Yes.
actually don't have to even have a lot of money to do that. Like you can
Yes.
kind of just do that. And I was like, okay. And of course, like anything your parents say, you're like, are you challenging me
And
to
how
do
old were
it?
you in that when you got Cape
It was
Cod?
last summer. I was working a job that was fully remote, so I was able to be there all summer. And so, also to be perfectly honest, the job wasn't super taxing, so I had some free time during the workday.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just started talking to different people, different organizations, and just being like, this is my idea. Is there a need? Do you
Mm.
like, is this a gap that I need to fill, or is do you already have this covered?
Mm-hmm.
And I just got a ton of feedback that it was kind of two things. One was we wish that we could do volunteer opportunities outside of the workday, but our staff only works 9 to 5 and we can't afford to pay them overtime to work outside of those.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, we need more help. And yes, we want to work with people who have full-time jobs, but we kind of can't find a solution right now because we can't afford it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other side was other companies who, had opportunities and were like, yes, they're very, like, we're missing kind of that young 20s, 30s clientele because most of their volunteers would be like moms who have a little bit more free time when their kids are getting older. A lot of like nurses or people with, more relaxed schedules. So yeah, I just started talking to a few different organizations first and then talked to my friends to see what they would want to do and kind of just kept on like surveying both. So like getting information from organizations and then getting information from friends and then seeing how I can map it together. And originally it was like anything outside of the workday. And so there are things like Big Brother and Big Sister, which is so incredible, but it's a long process and it could take a few months for you to get matched. And I realized the biggest thing that I was struggling with and the feedback I got was you want to sign up to volunteer and you want to be able to do it within the week or within the month and just know that you can sign up and do it.
Yep.
So I changed my mission and just kind of got more specific with kind of having our own events on one side where we do like sandwich making and care kit making and all the helpful organizations who kind of can't bring us in outside the workday. And then we also work with partners where their opportunities are outside the workday. And so we volunteer with them.
When you were in this evaluation period, did that how long did that take you, like surveying?
So it took like 4 months before I had my first event.
Okay.
And
You're
then,
fully launched Be Bright.
yeah, not really. Like it kind of was all, like I was building it while I was like evaluating. And then, I mean, also these days, like it doesn't take much to like start a website.
Right,
And so like
totally.
everything was like Google Forms at first. And then our first few events, honestly, like there were people who came from like finding us on Google kind of right away.
Wow.
And then social media kind of like added to it a couple events in. But I would say like the first 3 or 4 months, I kind of had to like slightly beg friends and family to come. But ever since last December, I feel like most of the people there I don't know personally.
Wow. And how do they find you?
TikTok and Instagram and Google, which is like crazy because if you look at, like I don't get crazy views. So I just wasn't sure.
Your conversion rate's off the chart.
Yeah, but I'm like, I just wasn't sure how many people are like fake or like bots.
What was your first partnership or event that you threw?
So our first one was sandwich making. So my kind of neighborhood growing up, one of the moms was involved in a homeless shelter. And she was like, just buy extra sandwich supplies. And like on a Thursday night, make sandwiches with your kids. And then on Friday morning, when you're going to drop the kids off at school, leave them outside. I'll come to all the houses and pick up the sandwiches and I'll drop them off at the shelter. And so it became like a weekly ritual where a lot of my family friends would like make sandwiches with their kids.
Yeah.
And of course, my mom would like perfectly cut them in half and put like parchment paper and have them like studding, where ours are not quite that beautiful.
Yeah.
And so that's just like such an easy entry point to volunteering because you're not kind of interacting with the people who need your help. And so when I started thinking about, I grew up volunteering and a lot of the people in my life did too, but that's not everyone's story. And so most people can't relate to that. So like, how would you show up if you were a little scared of it? And so I realized anyone can make a sandwich and anyone can like make a care kit and they can choose to get involved if they want to interact with those who they're helping. But I did recognize that was, scary if you don't have experience doing it.
Yeah. Interesting choice of words behind like scary and like intimidating.
Yeah, because I think it's just, you don't know what you don't know. And so like, unfortunately, in this day and age, you hear the stories about, maybe a homeless man who, punches someone in the face, or
Mm,
like those are kind of the headlines of,
gotcha.
the unhinged mental health
Yeah.
crisis around homelessness. And that's what kind of what you think of people who are in need.
Yeah.
And as much as that is true, that's not the full truth. And that's not most people I see. I mean, we do breakfast shifts at Bowery Mission, and I'm always shocked by not everyone, but there are a few people who come who stay overnight with them who I'm like, if I was walking into a building with you, my office building with you, I wouldn't know that you didn't come from
Wow.
an apartment.
It's crazy.
So you just realize like so many people, there's just so many different paths to situations like that. And
Mhm.
it's not all people who look like they're very much in need of
Yeah.
help and generosity.
Probably those two that are really like mentally ill. I'm sure they're not coming to many of these.
Sometimes, I mean, yeah, they're not coming to our events, but there's some Xavier Mission. I mean, Bowery Mission is pretty good, and there's so many places like them who give the help to the people who need it. But Xavier Mission, who on Sundays from 12 to 4, people come in and volunteers serve them food, and some of them are mentally ill, and some of them are, most aren't, and most are like just like lovely and need an extra meal, and they don't ever get IDs, so they don't check, are these people homeless? Do these, like, there's no tracking of the larger need except for the fact that they just need a meal.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, of course I've had experiences where there's someone who is struggling, but I've never felt like unsafe. The biggest thing I realize is most people aren't used to being treated with respect. So if you look someone in the eye and smile and say good morning,
Yeah.
you think that
They think you're mocking them.
yeah, because most of their life is just like trying not to be seen
Totally.
and like their own struggle. So, I understand why some people react poorly to that if they're not used to it.
Oh, it's so sad.
I know, it is sad.
It makes me really sad. I'm sure at this point though, how long has the Bright Foundation been?
So it's been like a year.
It's only been a year?
Only been a year.
Oh my gosh, wow, you're really on
Like
the
a year and a
move.
month, I
It's
think.
incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. And people probably recognize you like by your face.
No, that's what's always so funny is I was just talking with, so I've had one friend from high school, and all my friends come, and they sometimes people are like, oh, so like, how do you know Grace? And they're like, who's Grace? Like, they don't know, like,
Yeah.
and I kind of don't want to be like the face of it.
Sorry, they're asking other volunteers.
Like, how did they come to the event?
Gotcha.
And I think that most people just assume that they know me.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I had one friend who hasn't been able to come for a while because she travels a lot for work. And she was like, oh, so how do you know Grace? How did you get involved? And they were like, I don't know who Grace is, but like, I saw this on TikTok.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, that's so funny. I just interviewed. It's just interesting hearing that. And honestly, probably very in line with nonprofits and like the way that you guys facilitate operations. Like, you're not trying to be front facing. Like, it's not interviewed a woman, and this is rightfully so. Like, she owns her own beauty brand. So like, in a lot of owning consumer facing brands with like our generation is they want to know like the story behind the founder too. So it's just like interesting hearing that like people are showing up to your events, not even knowing you, showing up to her events, like asking for her.
It's like I've done a lot of research. I work kind of technically in the marketing field, but not in that way. So doing research on like how to grow a social media account and how to, make better content has been interesting. And yeah, people do like recommend doing that because they like the transparency and honesty, but I don't want to like beg people to come or feel bad and then feel like they need to come. And so I think I'm still working on like my voice and how I want to show up.
Yeah.
And so I do a lot of voiceovers. I don't do a ton of like recording my face, like talking to the camera, just because I'm also not comfortable with it. Like I try it sometimes and I'm like, okay, that is absolutely awful.
Yeah.
But I do know people who do it and like really succeed. And I think it's important, especially when it's like a product. I know that it really does help to like hear the story and hear it from the founder.
I think people definitely do want to hear from you. Like, definitely want to hear your origin story. And like, that's why I was so happy when you agreed. Because I'm like, this is going to be a great way for people to understand like what inspired you to do this and how honestly, it is hard, obviously. You just started because you were like, I just think this is interesting and I have some time and I'm passionate about this, and inspiring other individuals to do so. But I do think people like to connect with people. Like, I think that's probably
Totally.
a huge reason people volunteer as well, is
Yeah.
in
And
a
that's
way it's
kind
kind
of,
of self-serving too,
but it
volunteering.
is, but it isn't. Like that's kind of what I feel like my like idea of like volunteering and like showing up for the community has changed so much within the past year because
Mm,
like I think in the beginning you think that you are doing it for the other person and you are like that never comes untrue, but
yeah.
like you're also doing it to, you know, feel connected and to meet others. And that's kind of why I kind of stray away from events that are just like a couple people. Our mission is, you know, smaller because they just don't have the space to fit a ton of volunteers.
Mhm.
But our events that are the most popular are like 30 to 50 people showing up. So I recognize that it is like the social thing too of after the workday, I can choose to like get a drink with a coworker or I could choose to show up and like spend an hour helping the community, but you're also going to be meeting people and you know that there's going to be like the social aspect of that.
Yeah.
And like there's just so many like social clubs exploding around New York.
Yep.
And I have a friend who started our third place, which used to be called the Media Dinner Club.
Mm.
And I mean, that just like snowballed overnight. And it just became like so clear that people like want to connect,
Mm-hmm.
but they need a place to do it. And so that
And a
also was,
reason,
and a reason.
unfortunately.
Yeah. So that was
Unfortunate.
the other part where I was like, okay, I see like people are willing to show up places,
Yeah.
even if they don't know a ton about it. And so that was like also helpful to know.
Totally. I feel like that would be a great thing to spotlight too in your on your present online presence, is like if there's any stories of like, do you take poll on
Yes.
like what why people show
I need to
up,
get better
or
about, I do a
like
lot
there's
of,
probably some people that became good friends. Like I've already made a friend
yes.
through volunteering through New York Cares, and
Yeah.
or maybe people that have started dating. Like there's
Okay.
probably
Yeah,
such
I know.
cute
Well, my mom brings
stories.
that up, and she's
Yeah.
always the one thing that we struggle with is getting men to come.
Yeah. Oh,
Most of the men
interesting.
who come, you know, there are a few who come themselves. So I don't want to say that it's stereotype all men,
Yep.
but most of the men who come are significant others of the girl who brings them.
Yep.
And, or it's very interesting to me that men don't, maybe aren't as willing to just show up alone to
Hmm.
something like this compared to girls.
Yeah. What's your hypothesis?
So
I think I have
I
one.
talk about this with so many people kind of all the time
Mm-hmm.
because it's like truly been so fascinating to me. I talked to one guy who volunteered at Xavier Mission once with us, and he kind of was like explaining his work schedule. And I think a lot of men don't realize that you can do something other than work and work out within a day. I think they also don't get asked to do it,
Yeah.
which
It's
is
not in
the
their
other
social circle.
thing.
Their friends aren't volunteering.
Yes,
It's not
and they're
something that they're
also
like,
not like their social medias. There's not, they don't follow influencers.
yeah,
They don't follow people who like would
sports.
encourage people to go anywhere.
They
It's a
follow
lot
like
of just
NBA
like,
guys who
yeah,
do
it's like
commercials.
sports, watches, like cars.
Yeah.
And so even like marketing just to men, I'm just like, is such a interesting thing because I don't know how I would, like I've just been struggling with that too.
Mm-hmm. Just even thinking about it, I feel, yeah, at that point of men don't, sometimes they don't think that they can do many things outside of their job and working out, like two fundamental things. For women, not only are we wired to be more nurturing, maternal,
Mm-hmm.
caring, and like be thinking about other people more often, but I feel like as a woman too, we're constantly, the fact that I feel like it all just goes back to having like to have children. Like women are
Yeah.
constantly thinking about other things, their own children. Like your mom, I guarantee, thinks more. I know my mom does, like 5x, thinks more about you guys than your dad. Like probably on a day to day
Oh yeah.
basis.
I mean, it's crazy. Her and like all she's ever been like lately, like her most of her life now is like a mom.
Yes,
And just
she's a quadruplet, by the way.
yeah, I have 4 siblings. So like it's
Mhm.
just one of us is always going through something. Like good, not all bad, but like
Yeah.
there's always one of us who had a tough work day or like needs to talk about something and
Yeah.
but I hate to stereotype men. Like my biggest
No, it's
thing,
not a stereotype.
no, totally, but like that's
We don't
been,
have the weight to stereotype
but
them. This
that's
is just
been
our
more,
observations. Yeah.
that's been like the saddest part about it is I'm like, I wish I wish they could prove me wrong, but they
Yeah.
haven't yet.
I do think it's a great point of like it's not in their social circles. It's not something that they think,
Yes.
it's like a feminine thing.
And I talk to a lot of moms too. Like a lot of my family friends and moms will come up to me and be like, "You're doing such amazing work. I send this to my son all the time. I'm so upset that he hasn't signed up and joined you."
Yeah.
But a lot of feedback I get too is like, we'll come to like a bar or a social.
Like the run clubs, but then you grab a beer after. It's like,
So they're willing to show up, but they're willing to show up and give their money to something. They're not maybe as interested of showing up and giving their time. But also, someone was like, I would go if a group of my buddies went with me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I just need to find the one guy who's most willing of his friends.
yeah, every guy
To
that comes, be
bring-
like, tell your friend, tell your guy friends. to
Yes, but there
come.
have been a few, which has been really great.
And it's like we're like skewing from this isn't your mission. You just want bodies to come and help.
The whole dating thing, like my mom was like, oh my God, someone can have like a wedding from like meeting up Bright Light. I'm like, well, I hope it's mine to start. Like, I hope hope I meet a man through doing it. But I've met a lot of great people.
That's hilarious. Yeah. Where's my husband? We need more men.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it all does come down to time too, and that's like the whole essence of Bright Light Foundation too, is there's always time in the day. And I think for like
Yeah.
for some reason, male, female, I mean, you could argue that most male jobs are a little bit more higher paying, so maybe they view their time as a little bit more valuable.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna go home and work for an additional few hours because the return on that might be higher than going
Totally.
and volunteering for free. So it's like a total mindset shift of like, it's just not that deep. Like, it's just like,
Yeah. But
really,
we're starting to do, I think, more social events. We're having one, not this coming week, but in 2 weeks. And
over the
a
New York
lot
Marathon?
no, we're doing like a Halloween care kit,
Okay.
like happy hour. We're gonna put together little like goodie bags for underprivileged kids on the Upper West Side. They came on Amazon today. They're little like coloring books and crayons. Everything we do, we like to like write notes on them, like write notes to someone, so it's a little bit more personalized. But we're getting candy too, and so that will be kind of like in the corner, but it will be like a happy hour where people can like show up and socialize, and then put together a few little Halloween goodie bags before they leave. And I think that might help.
Yeah,
So-
just like the phrasing of it, the marketing of it.
Yeah,
Like, what
so-
it's going to be, a social event, a social gathering.
So it's already like that's
Come
already
meet-
been sold
come
out for
meet-
so
Oh,
long.
it's amazing.
So now we're like thinking of what we want to do for Thanksgiving, because we originally weren't going to do something like that. Always, reframing and like
Yes.
taking in the feedback and like testing others. I mean, the biggest thing I've learned through all of this is like, I just don't know how other people think. Like, I only know how
Will you ever? Like,
yeah, and you won't, but like,
yeah.
I only know how I would show up and what I would be interested in. And like, I can't only run, like, hope that this can grow based on what I know.
Yep.
So it's a lot of just like asking people and like getting curious and hearing their experience. And like, it's been really interesting to hear what people say.
And the fact that you seek it out too, is like you're constantly trying to get better, which is
Well, you need
just
to,
amazing.
yeah. Because like a lot of the things too is like the numbers of running a nonprofit like don't always make sense.
Okay.
Like the amount of people who show up and when they show up, if you look into it's all over the map. And so
What do you mean by that?
like the same event within the same 2 weeks could have vastly different attendance.
Okay.
And the week
There's
where I
no
thought
patterns.
no,
Okay.
and the week that I thought no one would show up was there was a holiday the next day was when more people showed up than, you know what I mean? Like you would just
Yeah.
assume, sometimes even your assumptions are wrong. Like July 4th weekend, I was like, no one's really gonna sign up for this one. I'm gonna like lower the amount that we're gonna say volunteers that we say we'll bring, just because I don't want to like set them up for failure when only like 3 to 5 show up and we promised 10.
Yeah.
And we had like a wait list all of a sudden. And I was like, okay, well then we can show up more.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have assumed that.
Right. So it's just like constantly pulling, constantly
Yeah.
like adapting.
And I don't think people
adjusting.
love taking a survey, because I've sent quite a few out. And so
Yeah.
I've started just like Instagram polls,
Yeah.
and they worked pretty well.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Yeah, interacting super easily with your audience. It's like such a great idea.
Yeah.
Is there seasonality with volunteering? Like, would you say around the holidays?
I
it's
think,
higher?
yes. I mean, like statistically, just in general, yes. Thanksgiving, obviously, you think about giving thanks.
Yep.
And it's kind of the season where you kind of take, I think, a look at your life and you realize, most people realize maybe they don't do anything for others.
Yeah.
Christmas, you realize, even though it's crazy busy, you realize that like you're giving gifts to the people you love, and there are a lot of people out there who maybe can't afford to give gifts to the people they love.
Of course. Yeah.
So I think, you know, like obviously November and December are really busy. We're just like talking to organizations right before the summer, right after the summer are really busy for like corporation volunteering. Because I thought the summer would slow down a bit, but we grew so much over the summer.
The seasonality of like the holidays makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Like, that's when I'm like, I start to think to myself like, oh, yep, this got to do this again. But what do you think? Well, just going back to high school, the most volunteering I did was in high school, but it wasn't for a very altruistic reason. It was because it looked good on a resume, and then
Yes.
eventually I realized, oh, this actually makes me feel really good.
It does. Like that's the thing that's so hard, is like it does look good, and it does, and like talking about it, people are impressed that you do it.
Yeah.
But it also
doesn't mean you're a good person.
Yes,
if you
but it doesn't mean you're a
volunteer.
good person.
Yeah.
You could spend a lot of time volunteering, and you could be not pleasant.
Yes.
You know, I've struggled like socially in certain like times and periods of my life where, you know, I'm figuring out, you know, a new season with friends, and like every time I show up, I think it's just like, and obviously there's been studies that prove this, but it's like showing up for someone else and showing up somewhere where it's not about you, like just helps, you know, take your mind off of like your own life in a weird way. You know, yesterday I was at City Meals on Wheels, and like the task we're doing is just putting together like the bread and juice and milk kits to go with the meals. But it's like 2 hours. You talk to the people around you, and it's like everything's like, it's not that deep. Like whatever I'm struggling with when I walk into like any volunteer event, I'm really not thinking about as I leave.
Yeah.
Obviously there are exceptions, but like the little stuff and the trivial things, like you forget about, and you just have to like, I've needed a reason to do something and get out of my apartment, have more than a purpose of just my job. I didn't like set out to create a nonprofit. I didn't like set out to be the one to start it, but I realized there was a gap. And I think also when someone tells you that you can fill that gap, you realize that you can, like, but you kind of need someone to kind of.
And for you, it was your parents.
Yeah. So it was my parents. Like if it doesn't exist, like make it exist. And so I think I'm surrounded by a lot of people like that too. So it just was never a question. And so, you know, as I was doing the research, I didn't like create the website and be like, I'm going to do this thing. And it's going to be like, look good for my own resume and like will help me get new jobs. But it's,
we were past that.
Yeah. But it's like, I was willing to like find out about it, maybe someplace I didn't know about, and volunteer with them and not do something. But like, that's not what happened.
What do you think keeps people coming back? Is it that realization of like, oh, this makes me feel really good?
Yeah. I mean, I think when you realize that like truly all you need to do is just like show up. You can sign up for something and just like stay true to your word and commit to yourself that you go. And then like the feeling you get afterwards, you're like, okay, like I do have an hour to make a sandwich and like, or make sandwiches for other people.
Yeah.
And like, I can still like go out with friends afterwards. And I think, yeah, everyone wants to meet new people. They want to be around people who have similar values than them. And, you know, everyone who's showing up is vastly different in their life experiences, but they're all showing up to like be involved in their community and, you know, try to feel like, especially in New York, there's so many transplants and people live here for, you know, a few months or a few years, or they choose to spend the rest of their lives here. But most people don't feel connected to the city. And so I think that's another way where it's like, I'm helping the people.
That's why I initially on for my first time ever New York Cares. I was like, I want to feel closer to New York.
And it does help you. And
it was actually a horrible experience.
Oh, yeah. I know. So I've heard, you know, there aren't, and that's why too, like I try everything first. I try to go, well, I now can't go to every event. Someone on me or the two people who are working with me, you know, try to go to, but like, I also don't want this to become my full-time job. Like I think what makes this special is that we don't need a ton of money to run it.
Yeah.
We're going through the whole 501c3 process. So working with the IRS to get the tax deduction, and that's like a very long process. So we will have like a gala eventually, and we will raise money,
Mm-hmm.
but we're not looking to like exponentially grow this and become a huge thing.
Yeah.
And even though it's a nonprofit and it can't make a profit, you do notice that there are kind of some nonprofits who kind of want you to pay for everything and kind of
Yeah, that's something I want to talk about too, like the whole like the behind nonprofits. Even you talking about getting materials for sandwich making or the goodie bags. Are
yeah.
you supplying this, or how are you even paying?
I'm paying for everything right now myself. We accept donations, but because we're going through the whole process with the IRS, we can't ask for donations.
Okay.
So
And where can people even donate through your website?
on our website,
Okay.
but I can't ask for people to donate.
Okay. You're going through this process with
Yes.
the IRS.
And
And this
that's,
takes a year?
it takes like 3 to 6 months,
Okay.
but the IRS is shut down right now.
True. Yeah, that's
so,
actually insane.
so, we'll see. I hope it's not a year. A lot of people recommend to do all of that before you start. And I just like didn't.
You don't know what you don't know. You really
I was like, why would I start something if I don't have like, if I don't know if it's going to work?
right. So
Our first couple sandwich makings, we made like 100 to 200 sandwiches. And now we make like 1,000.
jeez.
I mean, like,
And right now you pay for all of it?
yeah. And I will pay myself back as we make money. And
Yeah.
I'm tracking every receipt and I'm showing, I'm not going to pay myself back for like every little thing, but like the big things I will, because it is expensive to,
Yeah.
the
Yes,
materials.
yeah.
But I also don't, that shouldn't stop our momentum from doing it. And I'm in a privileged position where I'm able to do that.
No, but still, it's even more.
But
Like, I
it's
didn't know
not
that.
our,
It's even more
it's not my
respectable.
goal to pay for everything. And
Yeah.
it won't be the future to pay for everything myself.
Right. And in the nonprofits that do scale and grow, how are they even paying for their like full time employees? Like the few that they
Yeah.
might have, like New York Cares. Like, how do they even run?
Yeah. I mean, I think what's really hard right now, most nonprofits exist off of grants, and you can't rely on grants to run your nonprofit.
Okay.
It won't cover everything, but
You have to apply for a grant
you do. It's a very,
every year you apply.
every year. I mean, I think there are some that might be 2 years, but especially the government grants, like there are people that they hire, that like nonprofits hire just to write those grants. They're very specific. The language, they would hear a certain language. Like it's not, I haven't written a grant yet, but a lot of people say that, you really have to do your research and like you
When
can't
you're
expect.
writing a grant, is it like a document you print out, or it's like free
Yeah, it's
form?
kind of almost like
what
an
is this?
application.
Okay.
There's so many people in the nonprofit world who are out of jobs right now because their programs have been shut down because of losing money on grants. But the need doesn't go away. And I think that's what's so hard to hear when I talk to different people to see how we can show up and how we can help is like a lot of the stuff they need are bigger things. And so yes, we can show up and we can make sandwiches or we can make kits for the homeless with, sanitary needs and stuff, but I also want to make sure what we're doing is helpful because some people, the needs vary. And so, yeah, it's always that's why it's just like always so important to talk and hear what people actually want.
Yeah. People, you mean the other nonprofits?
The other nonprofits and just the people who they're helping. Some people are like the most, instead of giving, if you walk down the street and you see someone sitting there, if you hand them a bag of McDonald's, you're like, that might not be as helpful of hanging them a McDonald's gift card because you chose the food for them and you're assuming things that like they want. And so like, yeah, gift cards could be best instead of like choosing what you're giving. And there's just so many, there's no right or wrong, but it's just interesting hearing people's opinions and how you can show up and speaking to the people too who have benefited from the help. But one thing that I worry about is not taking advantage of those people by sharing their story. Know the ones who need help.
Okay.
And rely on the help that's one thing that I think I am struggling to do is share the impact that we have without
like spotlighting these people. Like, here's
yes,
Carrie from,
without having to rely on giving away their voice or recording them because it's embarrassing. that they need. Like most people are embarrassed that they need help. So that's the thing too, is with the sandwich making, you're not directly seeing, you're seeing what you're doing for others, but you're not seeing them receive it.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's like always like space and room to grow. That's one thing
Yeah.
I've been working on and thinking about, is how can I show the impact that we're having without taking advantage of the people who need the help.
Yeah. Even if it's not direct spotlighting, I feel like the fact of like sharing statistics of like, watch us make 2,000 sandwiches and feed like 500 families.
Yeah.
Again, like even like referencing something like that, I think is really powerful. Like not even having to like spotlight a woman who goes to the like women's shelter or something. And
Totally.
but even still, like I do think there are people who have just come to terms with the way their life has turned out, and probably would be open to, if they like came to a lot of your
Yes.
events,
Yeah.
like, approach them and you're like, would you be open to, I think they would be okay with it. So I definitely don't think rule it out, but time won't help
Totally.
reveal
Yeah.
these individuals, and
Yeah.
they'll go out of their way to find you too, 'cause
For sure.
I feel like for the most part, these people that are receiving help and for the good that you're doing, I'd hope that they'd want to see the woman or man or whomever behind it,
And like
you,
even
help you.
dropping off sandwiches, I think it was last like January, February, I went to drop them off, and it was, you know, I forget the proper, like a supportive housing development, I guess, where, you know, in the community room is where they have extra fridge space in the kitchen. And so I brought my little cart with the sandwiches down and was putting them away. And, there were some residents there getting so super excited, be like, oh, what's happening? Like, nice to meet you. And this one man just kept on trying to put $5 in my pocket. And I was like, no, like, these are for you, like, enjoy. And he just really wanted to thank us and, support us to help someone else. And I think that was just like so moving that he was like, he was appreciating the help we were giving him, but he wanted to pay it forward too at the same time. And where we were at was a place like he needed the help too. And so we didn't have to have that conversation even for me to understand why he wanted to do what he was doing. But it just shows like you have a lot more maybe money than you think to help others, and you have more time than you think to help others. And like there's never the most like hospitable and kind people that are running most of these organizations are actually the people who might need the need themselves. And that's the other thing that I've learned just from creating these like relationships with everyone, is it comes from their own need that is encouraging them to provide the need for others. And that's been like so crazy and hard to understand,
I didn't know that.
because I'm living a different life than that. I'm, showing up to a corporate job, and everything just can be so trivial. And so I feel like this has helped me like have an outlet outside my job and an outlet in my community. But it's also just like helped me as a person, like remind myself that there's just like so much more to like the glitz and glamour of New York City. It just shows that it's important to like take a step outside your comfort zone of what your daily life looks like.
Taking outside a step outside your comfort zone mean very different things to you than it does to most people in New York City, even to myself. Like my first thought isn't, I'm gonna start a nonprofit. My thought is like, oh, I'll go pay to go do a painting class, or like go pay to get French classes.
But that's the thing too, is like you can do both.
Totally.
Like
no, but what I'm saying is you have like, there's something in you, like in your DNA, where you're wired this way, where like, and people can, like people like myself, like I can exercise this like beautiful thing that you have, but I feel like it's just like it's gift given for you. Like, this was your.
And you just need the reminder, like I wasn't always like that. And like, I think part of it is just like being curious and like asking questions. But it's like, you just need the reminder sometimes to like doing something new, and like even like changing jobs. You like, sometimes I have been like, oh my God, my axis is like so shifted. Like, I'm not taking the same subways, and I'm not going to the same places for lunch.
Yeah, my axle's so
and
shifted.
Like,
that's a good way of putting it.
Then all of a sudden it's like 2 months later and you're like, oh, like I'm not nervous walking through these doors anymore. And now I know which of the like 16 elevator banks actually goes to my floors. And like
humans have a great, I don't think we test our adaptability enough anymore. I think people get really comfortable in their life and their routines, and in their obsession with things or non-obsession with things. Like we just get way too comfortable that when there is change, whether it be inflicted in political things that happen, like, or even like something, you know, happens in your personal life, I feel people overreact a lot more.
Yeah.
And versus, and that's, this is, I think, like very macro observation, that if we were to, and I've always believed this, if you can put yourself in more uncomfortable positions in your life and look and lean in to change, I think your life gets easier.
But those are also times when you are looking kind of at your life outside of your life. And those are both things that I've found that people come and join me when they're feeling that way. Like I met one woman whose, you know, mother volunteered all the time and she lost her mother and she was trying to feel closer to her. And she was struggling with the loss. And then it just kind of like hit her. She was like, my mom spent all this time volunteering. Like, I need to volunteer.
Yeah.
And so she came and joined us. And right before it was ending, she's like, I have to tell you this. And the person who stood next to her, who, you know, I've met because she's come to previous events before, but didn't know her, was wearing a name tag with the same name and same spelling as her mom. I know.
That's so nice.
It was
Oh
so
my God,
sweet, but
that's
it's
so
just like,
sweet.
it just like shows you, it's like she was looking for a way out of like her mind that was making her like, she was like losing herself in like her thoughts.
Yeah.
Like I can't control that. Like, yes,
Yeah,
you can
right.
vote. And
But that's a great, then that's such a great outlet for these people to feel like they.
yeah, because as much, yes, the New York City election is coming up and we all can vote, but sometimes you can't control who
can't
wins.
ever control.
Well, you can't ever control it, but
Yeah.
you can control who you vote for. But just
Totally.
because you're voting for that person doesn't mean everyone is.
Yeah.
And
so volunteering is a great form of like their expression of like
yeah,
feeling.
and it's great for people who, like, I've dealt with like mental illness of like depression and anxiety, and like just by showing up somewhere, and like that's why some of our events are just an hour, because like the idea of showing up somewhere for like 3 hours
You don't want
is
to
like
feel burdened to
excruciating.
people like
Yeah.
that.
But like anyone can show up for 1 hour, and like even if it's awful, like unfortunately it seems like your first situation, your first volunteer
Yeah, it
experience.
was just like a mean elderly home. They were like really mean.
But even if it's awful, it's
didn't
like
stop me.
you showed up and you did it.
Yeah.
And it
then I
like
laughed.
shows
And then I
you,
honestly laughed when I left. I was like, that was insane.
yeah, it shows you like you can do it. And
Yeah.
like that's the thing that I wanted to remind myself of. It's like you can show up and like do anything.
Totally. God, how do you not get like so emotional every single time you volunteer? Maybe like you like positively grow a little bit numb to it, but just like I feel like I would cry every time. I'd be like,
Yeah.
I can't look.
I kind of have that personality. I feel like my therapist can tell you like a bit more about why I
Yeah.
do that. But like I'm so focused on like what needs to be done and helping it run smoothly.
Yeah.
That sometimes even like when we have 100 people show up, and we like a few weeks ago, so many people showed up that we made 300 kits in like 20 minutes.
Wow.
And I just like was more just worried about the fact that they wouldn't show up again because it was too fast than like being excited about the fact that so many people showed up and we like did it so fast.
Yeah.
You know?
Even the instances of the guy putting the $5 in your pocket, of this woman sharing the story about wanting to connect to her mom, and the woman wearing her mom's name tag.
Yeah.
Like,
It does remind you. And so even if I am moving fast and trying to not feel the feelings while I'm doing it,
yeah.
that's what's so great is you're connecting with your community. And then even little things like today, like I was doing my laundry in my building, and this woman asked how I was, and I was smiling at her. We're waiting for the elevator, and she goes, I have a question for you. Most people your age who live in this building aren't nice and like don't smile. And like, why do you think that is? And I was like, oh, like I'm so sorry that you experienced that. I don't know, but that you're right. Like that's such a issue for, you know, our generation and the younger generations. Like people are so afraid to just like put themselves out there and like change their routine, let alone just like connect with a stranger and smile with a stranger.
Yeah. Hopefully maybe she's just seeing those same.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe you just have. I was like maybe just your neighbor next to you is just going through something.
Right. I guess that brings me to another question I had around like volunteering in itself, and if you have any thoughts on, has volunteering in nonprofit, like of course with the grants not being given as much, like
Hmm.
that nonprofits suffer, unfortunately. Have you seen people volunteer less with the introduction of social media and like people being so self-consumed because we're
Yeah.
just
I
so
mean,
distracted? Or
I think
any
it's
thoughts on that?
obviously like personally, like Brightlight's so young that I haven't been able to like track that myself.
Yeah.
But there's like so many great places that I've done and looked at their research. And, it has, I think what's so funny about, whatever generations you want to call it, it's like Gen Z, but also the younger part of Gen X
Mm-hmm.
and now Alpha, like they're still showing up. And so, yes, people can, shit on them that they're like so into their phones and
Mm-hmm.
so singular focused on themselves. And that might be true to a degree,
Mm-hmm.
but they also are showing up. And I think you see that with
And
politics.
things like
And
TikTok, actually, you could argue,
yeah,
different channels of social media have given way for more people to show up for
yes.
these
And
events.
yeah, it's just like, just with all technology, like there's a good side to it and it's a
Yeah.
bad side of it.
Yeah.
And the good side is like we wouldn't be doing as well as we are if TikTok, really TikTok, Instagram too, but mostly TikTok didn't exist.
Yeah.
And like, I don't want to spend more time on TikTok, but
I just thought of a great way how you can phrase maybe some of your like the time
oh,
stuff that you're
yes.
saying. It's like tell somebody to go look at their screen time and ask them, are they happy with that? And
What's
then be
hard is like,
like,
I don't want to judge them. I don't want them to feel judged and
yeah,
like feel
yeah,
like they
fair, because it
have
is a
to.
nonprofit. Yeah.
But I could be,
There's a
I know
playful
there's like
way.
I know there's a playful way to do it.
Totally.
I had to play around with like, I did a few where I was like, if you have time to get drinks after work, like you have time to volunteer.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Maybe I'm like
I
thinking of
feel
it
like
way
screen
too
time though is like
much.
that's something that people generally are a bit embarrassed
I
by. So
know.
it's like, hey, like look at your screen time. If you're not happy, like join me for an hour this
Yeah.
Saturday for the sandwich making that we're doing, like at the Bowery Mission, and then maybe the next week, like just stuff like that, and just a playful. Because
Yes.
most of the time, like getting drinks with friends, getting drinks with your coworkers after work, like that's not necessarily like something that somebody would be embarrassed to do. Like screen time,
Hmm.
most of the time, people I am
Oh
embarrassed by.
yeah.
It's like an easy thing that I'm like, all right, yeah, that's actually a great way to phrase how I can spend my time differently.
Yeah. And like,
Hmm.
how many like Real Housewives shows have I watched
No,
this week?
truly, yeah.
Like, I don't think I need to know everything about these women,
No, yeah,
but
right. Uh-huh.
you know,
Like you can emotionally detach, and this also is not attracting the male audience that we need to, but
yes.
you can emotionally attach or emotionally detach by coming to like our Halloween like volunteering versus like watching 4 episodes of Real Houses of Salt Lake City.
Yes. Yeah. I know. I need to get, but that's the thing is like like all these social media, and I love and all the suggestions,
It's
so please keep them
overwhelming.
coming.
Yeah.
I'm just like, but then I have to make it. And like
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing. That's been like honestly the hardest thing to adjust to
Yeah.
is I produce commercials for a living. Like I should be able to run a social media account.
Yeah.
But like it's a lot of
It's a
work
lot of work.
and it's completely different than the way I think than my process for doing something that's made for TV.
Yeah, you're creative. You've probably like you're like, oh, this doesn't look good. Like, what's wrong
Oh,
with
well that
this? It's
yes.
like your creative process and like seeing how much goes into a simple like Super Bowl commercial.
Yes.
It's a whole year production.
And all the
But like,
decisions that are made to get there and realizing it's like kind of it's very exciting that you just pull up your phone and like you can make your own version of it,
yeah,
but sometimes I'm just like so
you're like
I'm like
stunned.
how do I do this?
Yeah,
Cuz like
true.
my brain's working through doing it like a way that's actually not going to help or be attractive on social media
Yeah,
because it would just look fake.
but I mean, knowing how you even started Bright Light Foundation, like you, the starting is the hardest part, and it really doesn't need to be fancy. You could literally take a
Yes.
screen recording.
Yeah, we've gotten this far and
Yeah,
now I'm just like anyone and everyone can be suggestions. I'm like
totally.
I've had like I've worked with like influencers of coming, and one thing I always say to them is like if you think we're doing something wrong or if you think that we're like missing out on something, please let me know.
Yeah,
And like any advice
yeah.
because like this world better
Do
than
they
I
give
do.
good feedback?
They do.
Okay,
Yeah, they do.
good,
And they've been really helpful.
good.
The one thing that's hard is like we obviously can't pay them.
Yeah.
So it's not like a brand deal.
That's kind of crazy if they would expect payment, though. I don't know.
Yeah, but
Yeah. I feel like it would be a good look even for their like brand name likeness.
I agree.
Yeah.
And that's my perspective.
Yeah.
But I also understand someone who
it goes back to time, I guess.
Time, and also like if that's what they're doing full time, that is their value.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I struggle with like photographers coming and me only being able to pay them like literally nothing.
Yeah.
Like I offer them just like all I can offer them is not much. And I'm just like, I feel bad doing this because, you know, for at work, I'm able to pay photographers like thousands of dollars.
Next time you get too many people to come to an event, be like, "Hey, we don't have enough sandwiches for you to make, but pull your phone out. Who wants to like record?"
So that's I know. I need to get better at that. And my one friend last week came and was like, "You should just hand people those microphones," because I was talking to people around me and they were all asking how everyone came, and I was like, "Oh, okay, but like you have to ask people things." And so that was like a good reminder. And so now heading into like this week's event, like I'm gonna hand the girlies who come to a lot of the events and I know and I can trust to engage with others and like to ask them to do it and to record it.
Yeah.
But sometimes you need the reminder, like,
yeah.
And then you leave an event afterwards and you're like, I didn't capture anything.
Totally.
Because I was too busy.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No, I get that.
But that's like such a different mindset than
your mission focus,
running the event and making the event go smoothly.
Yep.
So it's like funny putting on all the different hats, and it's been really fun playing all the different roles.
Oh my gosh, your brain is so positively busy.
It is, but it's good because
it is good. It's so good. Like this is what.
And also I have the time, and that's one thing too where it's not only focused on people that are in their 20s and 30s, but most people in their 20s and 30s don't have any responsibilities, and like this is the time where they can show up.
Yep.
Because my coworkers who have kids, like I get why they're leaving their desk at 5 to get home to like bath time and stuff. But it makes me realize even more like, oh, like I have so much extra time because I don't have to do that.
True.
No one's relying on me.
It's like a great perspective balance of, I think that my sister has 2 children, and I'll even think like when my boyfriend and I are on a vacation together and like something goes awry, now that I know what it's like for my sibling to have children, I'm like, at least we don't have babies. Like at least we're not stranded in the middle of Italy with children.
Yeah.
It's just us two. Like, we can figure it out. It could be so much worse. Like I always think that it could be so much worse, which can get toxic sometimes because it's like you're not actually validating your emotions. But for the most part, I'm like, it could be so much worse.
I've reframed that, just being like, that's like that. There will be a time when I'm not thinking of my needs first, I'm thinking of my kids, and like that's overwhelming. So like I'm gonna be grateful that like I can choose how I'm spending my weekend this weekend when like I have nothing to do, and instead of being like upset that like people are out of town and like there isn't anything happening and like
friends didn't invite me here.
Or like I wish I had a boyfriend to try this restaurant with because like so and so, like my one sister I always grab drinks with, like she's getting a little tired of me dragging her to all these restaurants. Like, and like instead of being negative about it, which is always my first reaction, I do try to reframe to like,
wait, that's so
at least I can
never
choose
think
it.
That your first thought would be negative.
Yeah, I mean I've done, worked hard on myself to try to avoid that, but I think everyone struggles. Like you just need to get out of your own head and out of your like world. Yeah. And sometimes that means like physically removing yourself. Yeah. And so that's, the more I do that, the better my life gets.
Totally. And so out of your 4 siblings, do any of them do like, are you guys very similar or?
We're all very, it's funny, like we're all very similar, but similar. We're also all very different at the same time.
2 boys, 2 girls? Or
so it's 1 boy and then 4 girls.
Okay.
So
but out of the quad, sorry.
Oh yeah, so it's 1 boy and 3 girls and then a younger sister. Okay. We like look alike and we obviously all were raised the same, so we have the same values. There's also obviously like interests that overlap, but we're all very distinct. We all have very separate careers and interests and hobbies, and are like very much our own people.
Like, I just can't thank you enough for just sharing about like your mission of Bright Light, and like it's just like not hard. It's not hard. It's hard to start things, and I think it's even harder to start things that like aren't making you money, and it's like really respectable, especially in this day and age where we become a bit obsessed with like fame or just like being in money and like
Yeah. Well, there is part of me sometimes who's like, no, I know the skills
yeah.
and I just have to think of that idea that's
Yeah.
going to get me
Yeah, you're already
like the new
entrepreneurial. Yeah.
product.
Totally.
So I can like take advantage of these skills. But
Yeah.
no, it is nice and it's I'm grounding it in like this isn't going to take over my life.
Yeah.
Like this is just part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
But I get to meet people like you and like so many people and that's like changed like my this year compared to like last year has been so different because of that.
Yeah. That's amazing.
And like just grows your circle and
Mm-hmm.
grows my like experience of understanding different people's perspectives, which is like
Totally.
the reason we're all here.
I agree. I totally agree with that. So tell everybody where they can find you and like
Yes.
maybe the next couple events that are coming up with Bright Light, whether they're full or not. Like
Yes. So our website is www.beabrightlight.org. And then Instagram, or on Instagram or on TikTok. Yeah. And so we have sandwich making this coming week. Then we're doing a happy hour, a Halloween happy hour on the 22nd. We have Bowery Mission, I guess that morning before, so the 21st.
Okay.
Yeah, we have tons of events and we're always like looking to add more and do more. So just keep a close eye. We have a November 3rd, I think it is.
Monday.
We're doing a care kit assembly where I support the girls and it's like feminine themed, like feminine product themed. And a fellow volunteer who works at L'Oreal is going to donate beauty supplies from L'Oreal.
Oh, that's amazing.
So there's lots of things, popping up.
Yeah.
And happening.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, if you guys work for big companies, like get your companies involved because it's a good look and they have bigger budget. And I feel like it's like a great way to get, to like give back from that sense as well. Well, thank you so much.
Yes,
it was so great
thanks for having
getting to know
me.
you and just like the amazing things you're doing.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody. Yeah, she can't say this, but you can also donate via the link that I'll put down below. Okay, bye. Yay.